Alright, in the previous video we factorized monic quadratics. What if it's non-monic? In other words, what if the number in front of the x squared is more than 1? In this case, it's a 6. We've got 6x squared minus 5x minus 4. I'm going to walk through how I got this solution. So stay tight and we'll see how we go. First thing I want to do is I want to take the number in front of the x squared and then the number at the end, and I want to multiply those two together. So in this case I get minus 24. That's my new target. Now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to minus 24 but add to give me minus 5. Okay, so I'm still using the minus 5 from here in the expression, but I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 24. So if I have a look at those, I'm thinking 8 and 3, because 3 8s are 24. 8 and 3 I can make 5 out of. So I'm going to have 8 and a 3, but to make the negative 5, this is going to be a negative 8, because negative 8 plus 3 gets me to negative 5. Negative 8 times 3 gets me to negative 24. Awesome. They're my two numbers I'm going to use. Alright, this is the next step. This is super important. This is where it differs from monic. Is I'm going to rewrite this expression that we started with, but instead of minus 5x, I'm going to use a minus 8x and a 3x. So let's do that right now. 6x squared plus, sorry, beg your pardon, that was minus 8x plus 3x minus 4. So still using the original minus 4 up here. So you see, hopefully, these are the same thing. These are the same thing, but instead of minus 5x, I've got a minus 8x and a plus 3x. Because when if I sort of add those like terms, I'll get back to my minus 5x. Alright, why do we do it this way? We've split it up, and now I just want to focus on it in two halves. I'm going to focus on the first half and the second half, and I'm just looking for any common factors I can take out. I can see that 2 fits into both 6 and 8, so I'm going to have a common factor of 2. Also, x fits into both of those, so I'm going to have a common factor of 2x. So I'm just dealing with this first half. I'm ignoring the second half for the moment. 2x fits into 6x squared and it fits into minus 8x. So what do I have to multiply 2x by to get back to the 6x squared? Well, 2 times 3 will get me my 6. I'll need another x to get the x squared. What do I multiply 2x by to get back to negative 8? Well, 2 times 4, but that's going to be a negative because I need to make it negative 8. So 2x times negative 4 would get me back to my negative 8x. I've pulled out a common factor from that half. Now I'm going to do the same with the second half. There is no common factor. Really, the only thing that's common to both of those is 1. So I'm going to go plus 1 outside of 3x minus 4. And the reason I do it that way is you can see now that 3x minus 4 occurs in both brackets. So that is going to be one of our factors. The other part is just going to be the bits that are left outside the brackets. I've got a 2x and a plus 1. So 2x plus 1. Boom, we're done. We've factorized our non-monic quadratic. Okay, if I was to split those gangs and multiply them, I'd get back to this. I'm not going to do it now because we don't have the time. In fact, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to give you guys another one to work on and see what you come up with. Alright, there's one for you guys to have a go at. I want you to try and factorize for me 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. I'm going to pause it. You guys are going to pause it, actually, not me. We're both going to pause it. And I'll come back in a few seconds and walk you through my solution. Alright, there's one for you guys to have a go at. 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. I'm going to pause it. You guys have a go at it. We'll come back and talk about my solution in a moment. Alright, if you work through this one, you might have hit a little bit of a snag at the near the end. Let's talk about it when we get to it. I'm taking the coefficient of x and multiplying it by the constant at the end. 2 times 3 gets me 6. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 6 but add to negative 5. Well, it's negative 3 and negative 2 because they multiply to 6. When I add them, I get to negative 5. So I rewrite my expression. Instead of the negative 5x, it's negative 3x, negative 2x. Split it in half, and I'm looking for common factors in the first half, common factors in the second half. Alright, I can see in the first half the only thing that's common to these two pieces is the x. So I pull that out the front. X times 2x gets me 2x squared. X times negative 3 gets me back to negative 3x. Alright, all good there. However, here's where things get a little bit funky, because you're kind of like, well, there's no common factor here. I could pull out the 1, but then that wouldn't work because I'm looking. Here's the important bit. My second bracket needs to be the same as the first bracket. So to make that work, I'm not pulling out a 1, I'm pulling out a negative 1, because negative 1 times 2x gets me negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 3 gets me my positive 3. Right, that's the important little, that was the tricky little bit there. My second bracket has to be the same as this. To make that work, instead of pulling out the 1, I've got to pull out the negative 1. Alright, so when I have a look at that now, one of my factors is the 2x minus 3, because it's the same in both sets of brackets. And the other bracket is just the bits that are left, x and minus 1. X minus 1, 2x minus 3. Alright, factoring non-monic quadratics. Little bit of a tricky one there, but at least you know, if you come across it, how to work around it. Alright, good job, well done.